What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the May 27th episode of WWE Smackdown. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And this episode, this episode of SmackDown was very, very interesting. There's a lot of things you could take away from this. Most of this show was, hey, you know what? Check out the highlights on YouTube. And I'm not saying that because, oh my God, they just did a bad thing. More so looking back on it and just having a broader perspective. It is Memorial Day weekend, so you can tell that this show was more of a let's just have fun, especially the way the show ended. But there was a portion of the show that I don't get why WWE does this. And former WWE referee Jimmy Corderas, forgive me for hacking up his name. Forgive me, Jimmy. Jimmy Corderas, he mentioned this on one of his refereeing rants videos that he posted on his Instagram. And it makes so much sense because it was a total of like 10 minutes, but I'll get into it later. But no, this episode of SmackDown, so Roman wasn't there. Brock wasn't there. Maybe Cody was there for the dark match or what have you. But on the show, Roman, none of those guys was there. Trying to think of who else they were missing. Of course, Randy Orton. It's being reported through WWE that he's injured, taking time off or what have you. So none of those guys are there. So it was just a very. It felt like we were watching a SmackDown from like 2008, 2009. That felt like it was just a continuation or like a very watered down version of Raw. Like this was just very basic. It started with the Usos coming out. They announced that 2 days ago it was their 12-year anniversary since being in WWE. They mocked the whole crowd. They're like, "Yeah, we didn't need none of you." One thing that caught my eye, that kind of like raised not a red flag, but just like, let me think about this. So the Usos were, they said that they've been in the WWE for 12 years. So I'm like, man, how long have New Day been together? And New Day joined forces in 2014. So technically, the Usos' biggest rival, New Day, they have been feuding with the New Day for 8 years. Yes, and I know why did I take that long pause? Because most fans don't think about this. The New Day and Usos have been feuding off and on for 8 years. 8 years. And a lot of, it's kind of, not getting off subject, but a lot of the wrestlers that WWE has on their shows, granted, have been in WWE on Raw and SmackDown. They've been on TV for at least a minimum of 8 years to a maximum of 12 to sometimes 15 years. Sheamus, I think, he arrived in 2008? Was it? Yeah, 2008. So, yeah, 2008, 2020, so 14 years. And I think that's one of the issues why we get this, oh man, these guys are fighting again. It's like, man, I've seen them fight like too many times. Like, when you start breaking down, like, man, some of these wrestlers have been in WWE on Raw and SmackDown and even NXT for at least 8 to 15 years. Like, that's insane. And it's one of the reasons why the product feels so repetitive and just recycled. And in some instances, it just feels so stale. Like, okay, we've seen this before. It's because of that. If you mostly, a good portion of your roster that you depend on have been there for 8 to 14 years, your product is going to come out very just bland and like, we've seen this already. So Uso say they didn't need anyone. We get Shinsuke Nakamura. He interrupts him and he's like, yeah, my partner, he's going to help me and he's going to take those titles from you. And Shinsuke Nakamura's partner is Riddle. Yes, Riddle is Shinsuke Nakamura's tag team partner. It's interesting because both guys lost their partners due to injury. Interesting dynamic. If they do this right, and of course we've seen Riddle and how comedic and very charismatic and how much personality he has shown with Shinsuke Nakamura, man, that could be very entertaining. Hopefully WWE does it and doesn't have it very cheesy and just a segment here, a segment like this could be very entertaining. So you get that. Then here's where it gets for me, this is where the show just went into this weird place of, okay, what's going on here? And this is what Jimmy Corderas was discussing, I believe, this past Tuesday on his refereeing rant. So Raquel Gonzalez comes out. Then they go to a backstage segment with Shayna Basler, Natalya, Shotzi, Xia Li, and Aaliyah. And Shotzi's basically saying, this isn't fair. There should be more women getting in line for Ronda Rousey and so on and so on. So they do that. Then they go to commercial. Then they come back and they go to a backstage segment with Riddle and Shinsuke. And they're discussing about, they lost their partners and their tag team partners and, they're going to make this work and, we're going to do this. And I know Randy approves this and so on and so on. So they're basically selling, themselves as a tag team. So we go from that backstage segment. Then we go to Ronda Rousey's entrance. From there, we go to a backstage segment with Natalya, Shayna Basler, and Shotzi. And Shotzi's like, you know what? Let's take care of this. So Shayna Basler and Natalya leave, and Shotzi's like, oh my God, I'm locked in. Wait a minute, what the hell? What's going on, guys? And Aaliyah locked the door. Somehow she got the key. Don't know how she got a key for the locker room. And then they go to the match. So you're looking at possibly, I know the WWE commercials on SmackDown are at least 2 to 3 minutes. You're looking at maybe 8 minutes of Raquel Gonzalez just in the ring. Like, in the ring. During a commercial break, 2 backstage segments, an entrance. Like, I don't get the logic of why they do that. I know it's maybe in their creative, it's just different. Like, that makes no sense because the wrestler is there and they're just in the ring, just waiting all this time. Like that, it doesn't make sense. So we do get the match. And this is what adds to this. So we get the match, Raquel Gonzalez and Ronda Rousey. And it's no more than maybe, what is it? Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So 2-3 minutes into the match, we get Shayna Basler and Natalya interrupting. They beat down. They go to commercial. And I tweeted this, and I knew it was going to happen. And it never ceased to fail when there's an interruption or, 2 people are wrestling and another 2 wrestlers come and they beat down both people. It turned into a tag team match. So we get this tag team match between Raquel Gonzalez and Ronda Rousey versus Natalya and Shayna Basler. Decent match. Raquel Gonzalez did her Tejano Bomb, which they changed the name on it. 1, 2, 3. Raquel Gonzalez and Ronda Rousey win. Pretty much that was it. The only like cool spot that they teased maybe 5-7 seconds of was a stare down, a face off between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Basler, which was like, ooh, like before the crowd could even go, ooh, they just cut it like what are you doing, man? That whole segment with the women, man, like last week was so good where you just had a nice match between Ronda Rousey and Raquel Gonzalez. It was so nice. It was so like that was a really good match. And they just present this and you clump all these women together in this one segment. Like this one segment. You couldn't space it out or anything. Like it this is why I said like this show was a lot of most of this show was just, you know what, I'll watch the clips on YouTube. That's just what it was. Then we get a backstage segment with New Day. They're hyping up their match and who their third partner will be against the Brawling Brutes. Then we get a recap of Madcap Moss's attack from Baron Corbin, and Madcap Moss tweets, I'll be there next week on SmackDown. So yes, Madcap Moss, after getting his throat crushed by Baron Corbin, pretty much throwing a statue on a chair with his, you guys get it, like he's back next week. So then we get a match, and this is I understand they want to utilize guys, but man, keep it simple with utilize them. This is where things just weird. We get Los Lotharios, they come out, and then we get Jinder Mahal's. Crap, the Celtics are losing. Whatever. I have the game on right here. So you get Jinder Mahal's music playing, and then it stops. Then it cuts to the back, and you see Jinder Mahal walking through. And he's like, Shanky, Shanky, Shanky. And they cut to Jinder Mahal opens the door, and he hears their thing playing, and it's Shanky dancing. And it's like, where did this come from? Like, huh? Like, all right, whatever. So he takes me like, come on, let's go. We got a match. So we have this tag team match. Angel did a he got a big boot by Shanky because he was flirting with the ring announcer, and he's doing gyrate and everything, and Shanky's mocking him, and then he something out of a cartoon. He literally goes boom over Angel Garza's head and then kicks him, and then Jinder's looking like, oh, what the hell is this? And then Humberto does a springboard crossbody splash on Jinder. 1, 2, 3, they win. Then Jinder's mad at Shanky, and Shanky just goes like that, and it was just like, all right. And they're playing, Jinder's music, and Shanky's dancing for the ring announcer that's there, and she's smiling and laughing and everything. So you have this, I don't know, it was just like, where is it? Like, you're already, like, I don't get WWE's fascination with you put teams together, you don't utilize them, and then you're like, you know what, let's split them up. And then when you split them up, you still don't utilize them. Like, it doesn't make sense. Then you get the KO show with Kevin Owens, and he's teasing, yeah, I'm going to get a member of the, nice. I'm going to interview a member of the Bloodline. So they show the graphic. So you got Roman Reigns, the Usos, and Paul Heyman. And no, it's none of them. It's Sami Zayn. And this started off so cool. It was like, oh man, it's cool to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens together. Man, this is pretty cool. It's cool for the moment, but then it's like, okay, they've feuded off and on about 8 years. So it's like, all right. But these two guys are really good on the mic. But then it went south very fast. For me, it just fell apart when KO, as soon as KO was like, yeah, I want you to go to Raw. And he's like, no. Sammy's like, no, I'm Bars. The Bloodline. And KO's like, no, you're not. Watch, I call them out. They're not going to come out. Now, mind you, this whole time, like, it started off humorous, but man, this segment went on way too long for just Sami Zayn to find out the Usos aren't who they say they are. They're in it, and it's like, KO's like, yeah, you're naive, and you're delusional. You're calling me ooze, and it was just really like, you ask yourself after watching, okay, why did you have to use Kevin Owens to show Sami Zayn, hey, the Usos, the bloodline, you're not really in the bloodline. Why did you use Kevin Owens when you could have used somebody else? And let's face it, are they going to use Kevin Owens in the main event picture with, the bloodline when they eventually turn on Sami Zayn? No. I could see the other side of the logic, like, hey, use Kevin Owens as his friend, but they were feuding, like they were beating the hell out of each other the last time. So, he kind of cost them, was it back in Thunderdome? Was it the Royal Rumble in 2021? Like they had like a brief interaction, and, the conspiracy theory, and just, it was funny. He's like, yeah, you're my friend, but no, you didn't support me. Like a lot of stuff just really, I could see the intention, but just the execution just really like, all right, whatever. So then we get a match between Ricochet and Drew Gulak versus Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. You kind of knew who was going to win. Like, it is what it is. I mean, Gunther and Ludwig, they win. Ricochet is consoling Drew Gulak because he got his ass beat. Then Gunther, he finishes his pose, looks around, kicks Ricochet. Then Ludwig does a running kick to Gulak, and that was it. Like, I don't know, where is this going with Gunther and Ludwig? Like, I don't know, man. What the hell's happening in wrestling, man? There's a lot of stuff in both AEW and WWE that's like, there's no fucking logic. Excuse my language. There's no logic whatsoever. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, it doesn't make sense. Then we get a recap of Gunther throwing. Oh no, we didn't get the backstage segment of the Usos and Sami Zayn, and Sami proposes like, hey, what if I become an honorary Us? And it's funny because Jey Uso, no, it was Jimmy. Jimmy was like, all right, cool. It's like, what? And he's like, all right. And they walk away, and he's like, yeah, I'm there. And for me, granted, the whole KO thing was just like, it started off good, but then it just got really weird and everything. I can understand the intention, but I do hope that because they made Sami Zayn an honorary member of the Bloodline, I hope this leads to Solo Siaki, their younger brother, coming in and beating the shit out of Sami Zayn and kicking him out and joining, and he becomes the added member to the Bloodline. So you get the Usos, their younger brother, and Roman Reigns, being that faction. And I hope that that's what it leads to, because, man, it's going to be sweet. And it's actually a really solid introductory match to the main roster if it's Solo Siaki against Sami Zayn. It's perfect. It's right there. So I hope it leads to it. My inclination, I think it possibly could lead to it. They possibly could lead to, maybe Siaki probably gets called up after his feud in NXT right now, and then he gets called up because he just fits. Like, that's, you could have the Usos, and you need someone to get the Intercontinental and the United States title and get those titles. Then we get to the main event. It's the Brawling Brutes versus New Day, and their third partner is Drew McIntyre. This match was fun. You can tell. I know some people are like, oh, why did they end the match with this? It was basically Memorial Day. Drew McIntyre. Most people don't know this. Drew McIntyre is very popular with kids. I know one of my colleagues when he went to WrestleMania. He was messaging me. He's like, "Yeah, my son, he loves Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre is very popular with the kids." So I can understand this. Of course, New Day's appeal to their fans and their younger audience, kids and stuff like that. So I can understand that. And again, the way the match ended, they did the Claymore kick. Xavier Woods did his elbow. You had Xavier do his usual cross body over the top rope. And then they win and they get the poles down and, Drew McIntyre starts dancing. So it was pretty much a feel good, like, hey, happy holidays. And, that. So you could tell that's where they wanted the show, in which I have no problem with that. That makes sense. A lot of wrestling shows do that when it's holiday weekend. They just want it to end on a happy note and just, hey, happy holidays, have fun, and, that whole thing. And then once the holiday's over, then they get to the serious way that they want to finish the show. But in between, like from the opening, from the main event to the literally, you could say the Usos opening segment. Like, that was just really weird. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I know the whole thing with WWE moving from Allegiant Stadium, where the Los Angeles Raiders play, they're moving it to, I forgot, one of the not the smaller arena, I believe it's like an NBA size arena that they're doing the show in. So you have that, but man, this was very, the way the women are booked. I think that's a glaring issue with WWE, especially on this show. The way the women's segment was booked, like, it just, Raquel Gonzalez is in there. She comes out. There's a promo. Then there's the commercial, then a backstage segment, then an entrance, then a backstage segment, then the match, then it's 2 minutes, then it's a tag team match. Like, it was just, it's like you want to get to a destination, but you're taking all these unnecessary routes to get to this destination. We could just keep it simple, and I don't know, man. It was just really, really interesting. Of course, this could be setting up these women for the vacated WWE women's tag team titles, which, I don't know, man. It's WWE, man. It's like I always say, WWE is going to do WWE. That's just how it is. So, really looking forward to that Shinsuke Riddle tag team. That should be really entertaining, interesting, and fun how they play this out. I hope they do it, because that could be really funny. I hope it's not stereotypical. First tag team that comes to mind is Regal and Tajiri. Although Regal was very serious, but they were very comedic. Like, William Regal and Tajiri were hilarious back in the day. If you can tap into something like that, but with a comedic side, and instead of having a heel, you have a face with a face, that could be so cool, man. So cool. But yeah, this is the May 27th episode of SmackDown, my review for it. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Stop fighting over wrestling, man. Stop fighting with other fans and everything, with everything going on in the world. Just enjoy this. Even with all this crazy stuff on SmackDown, I would rather review this than just dealing with petty stuff in the world. And, granted, this show was, like I said, it was more of I watched this on YouTube, but hey, it kept my mind off of things. So that's the important goal. So Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I'm out.